Hello and welcome to the 2024 Stormies. Again, this is the 2024 contest for all photos taken in 2023. You're about to watch one of our critique videos for the official selections from one of our 5 categories: Tornado Photo of the Year, Photo of the Year, Photographer of the Year, Lightning Photo of the Year, and Photojournalistic Photo of the Year. As a reminder, we have a bunch of judges that help out. Not everyone can make it, so whoever shows up for one of these critiques, I'm just grateful that they volunteer their time, that they take this seriously, and that they're helping out. It's a tough job going over all these images and trying to provide constructive criticism and great feedback, as well as hopefully some teachable moments where we can all learn what to do better, what we could work on and improve on for this upcoming storm season, and but also, celebrating some of the amazing work that you all did last year. So without further ado, let's jump into one of our critique sessions.
So we're going to talk about the top 15 photojournalism entries. And of course, this category is kind of a catch-all for a lot of different things. So never sure what's going to get entered. And so it's kind of cool to see all these different ones this year. So we'll talk about this first one. And Jen, I think you're kind of more so than Dennis. We both do photos of people. And I don't know that I've seen your epic portrait work in your studio. I don't know if you do like other things like weddings and stuff like that, where you're kind of capturing moments during like a day. And I do a lot of weddings. So for me, it's kind of fun to see a photo like this, which tells the story of what we do when we're out there chasing storms, besides just trying to get great compositions and photos.
I shot 200 weddings over 10 years. So I have a lot of experience with events. Nice. and how you have to adapt to your situation. I feel like chasing the big white dress and chasing the big white tornado are very similar. So yeah, if you're incorporating people into the scene, there are a lot of different ways to do that. Photojournalism, you're telling a story. So right. That's the thing we need to keep in mind. That's our context. So what's the story in this image? The story of the person watching the tornado. Clearly he's in there. I like the tones. The tornado is beautiful. Is the car adding? Is it distracting? I'm not sure. Is it part of the story? Yeah. So these are all things to consider. Yep. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I do like that. I can see that looks like a camera strap, looks like a Canon, particularly camera strap there. So you can kind of tell that the stance, the guy's holding the camera and maybe trying to get the wind blocked by the car to take a photo. I don't know. But at least you can tell like that guy is trying to take a picture because he's got his camera there. So that at least kind of tells a little bit more of the story there, just seeing that camera strap. Because without it, you don't really know what they're doing. All right, I'm gonna go on to this one. I sometimes the kind of like damage photos are a little bit tough to want to do like an award for. There's been a few that weren't in the contest, like the one a few years ago with the guy took the photo from inside the movie theater where the wall was missing and you could see all the damage behind it. That was like an amazing kind of capture of damage. And sometimes damage is just damage. But I think that this one really kind of spoke to me because of the storm in the distance, which to me looks like a tornado has gone through and destroyed this house and this community probably. And yet it looks like there's another storm coming. Possibly because that looks to me like the leading edge of, like a shelf or some kind of MCS or something. And that kind of tells a little bit more of the story, like, hey, this happened, and yet there's still another storm coming. And seeing the people in the police car and stuff out there too.
Yeah, the green. Oh, go ahead, Dennis.
I think without the storm, it would not have such a big impact on me. Because there was a tragedy going on before, and the next one is right next door. So, that adds a bit to the story here, I think.
And I think there's a lot of lore around the green storm being the tornado storm. So I like the choice of, maintaining that green core and that color. It makes it more foreboding a little bit. So.
Agreed. All right, this one is to me like definition of, well, I don't know if it's definition of it, but it is a run and gun, either shooting out the back window or hanging out a window, or they stopped in the road and they just turned around to shoot it because there's a car behind them. But it just feels incredibly powerful and chaotic. Very, very grainy, but when it comes to this kind of thing, I don't absolutely give a crap at all about grain and blurriness and motion and stuff like that. So this is just this almost looks like almost like a CGI freeze frame from like Twister or something.
It
The immediate
feels intense.
yes.
This one.
The word
go
that
ahead.
right. The word that comes to my mind first is cinematic.
Yes.
So I'm right there with you in that feeling. This is telling the story of the people who are driving the circulation of a strong tornado. So don't try this at home, kids.
Yeah, it's very close.
Yes.
It's very close.
There's debris on the left side, like they are in that circulation there. So it definitely communicates a moment powerfully.
It seems like the truck is just before getting sucked into the tornado. So it almost feels like it's leaning to the right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
All right. This one, at least for me, I just included because it's kind of tells the storm chaser story of everything we have going on. Even on the computer, if you're going to be nerdy about the picture, you can see the position where they are. You see the storm in front of them reflecting the actual storm in the photo out the window, and all the stuff that you got in there, like a camera and everything. So I think it's like telling the story of what storm chasers do.
Classic in-car storm chaser shot.
Yeah. And I just realized, you see the storm on the radar, you see the storm out the window, and then you see the storm on the camera. It's like 3 different views of the storm, which is kind of cool. And this is kind of like the first one, which is maybe it could be Jen standing there taking a picture of a rainbow. I don't know.
Yeah, man, could be.
I have no idea who it is. So, but yeah, I kind of like the rainbow. It almost looks like it's hitting that turbine out there, which is kind of cool. All right, I'm going to go on to the next one. Any thoughts of this one jump out at you guys?
Wow. So what do we have I'm very curious. So we're putting out a lightning fire or some kind of a brush fire here.
Yep.
I have chased many moments where lightning starts fires. So that is part of it. I don't know if that's what happened here. Yeah. I like the texture in the storm and the texture in the smoke. Is that an inflow jet or is it just smoke? I don't know.
I know.
So yeah, I think the warmth here also lends to storytelling, the time of day.
Yeah, I think that I feel like I can't tell, but it looks like this is like water getting sprayed at the same time, and it looks weird because it's at a weird angle, like it's curving up, but it might be because they're moving to the left while they're spraying, and so it just looks like that. But I assume just from looking at it that it was what you said, that lightning strike caused a fire and these people raced up to try to put it out. Meanwhile, there's still either a storm incoming, which can make it worse. The one thing that either an inflow jet or we see the rain on the right and maybe it's just strong outflow winds, which as we know, as seen with a fire, is just going to push it and usually intensify it, especially if there's brush to as fuel or something in front of it. So I felt there was kind of like a little bit of a story in what happens in like the aftermath of these storms. And I've seen, I'm sure, and you just said you did, and I know Dennis has, where you've see like fire trucks racing off and that it was from a fire that probably started.
Yeah. I would love here, it would be a bit more zoomed in because I want to see what the fire truck and the guy on top of is doing exactly. Yep. So I need to guess a bit or zoom in the digital picture. So, but if it's maybe in a newspaper, so I couldn't see what's going on exactly. So, but overall, okay, we can, because it's digital, And we can zoom in here. Overall, it tells the story, what's going on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because you mentioned the newspaper. I could see this being in like a local newspaper.
Yeah.
Last night storm caused fire, blah blah blah, and this is like, and that's kind of what the purpose of this category is images like that, where someone could use it to tell a story in like a newspaper or something. So here's another one that we all, I feel like I've seen a bunch of these photos, but I think it's pretty funny because of, we all know what it's like out there chasing. And now looking at this, I feel like that's Jason Weingart. And they're taking a picture of the people that are taking a picture of them, it looks like, which is kind of funny. So, which I just noticed that, but
yes, definitely a circular moment. You are documenting the problem and you are part of the problem. That's all of us. All of us. None of us have ownership of the storm. All of us are there to enjoy it. So
yep.
There's a paradox there, and I enjoy that. And then I like that some of this attention is forward and some of the people in the frame are photographing the storm. So yep. There's a lot going on.
And I think it's really funny, the part of the problem thing, because it is, we are all there and we are all part of the problem. And then we all complain about the problem.
Yes, that's right.
And it's like, and I don't like to complain. I try really hard not to complain about it because I'm there causing it. And, and so, it's very, very interesting. All right. This one is just, again, a moment of capturing a storm chaser that probably is holding a camera and shooting this tornado in the distance. And I like these photos because I don't do enough of them. And whenever I'm out there, especially someone like me, and Jen, I know you, well, Dennis too, you guys you chase with a team usually. Dennis has his friends, Jen's usually in a crew, and I have tour guests, and I don't do enough of wanting to have like a camera around my neck that I take pictures like this of people enjoying what they're seeing. And I feel like almost never. And I wish I did all the time.
Yeah, me too.
So I really appreciate this.
I have a folder called Friends, and that's where I put all the people with storms. I think it's so important. And so I want to commend all of the image makers who submitted photos of the people photographing the storms. Documenting ourselves and our own story as storm chasers is super important. And so I think that that's really well done. And one tip is to maybe avoid having that horizon go through the head. That's like a really important thing to keep in mind. I want to be able, if this image maker had just crouched down and she was elevated into the composition of the scene a little bit more successfully, I think it would have been so much more powerful to have her silhouette next to the silhouette of that tornado instead of having her head cut in half and she's sort of obscured in the foreground. So that might have been a tip to elevate this image just a little bit.
Yeah, you could do that, or maybe you get a little lower as well, so that because going through the head for whatever reason, it's funny how that's like a thing. So if you got a little lower, then it's like cutting through the shoulders, which is maybe better. But then any lower you get, maybe these bushes get in the way and these fence posts get in the way. So it's a little bit of a tough challenge. So I kind of like what you said, like crouched down, kind of hidden in the scene. That would be really good. All right. This one is just another kind of storytelling one. I like it because of the name on the van, because it's like, that tells the story right there. Storm chasing tour, and there's a monster awesome storm behind them.
Pretty clear image there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. This was one of my freaking favorites that I've seen.
Beautiful.
In the whole contest. Just the truck. I just like that it's, I don't know, there's something weirdly, I don't know, surreal about it. I don't know what it is, but the truck is in the middle of the road and like not on the right side. It's just right in the middle, like it's watching, and no one's coming from the other path because a tornado's there. I don't know. I love
it. A dream nightmare thing seems because of the editing, but I like it.
Yeah.
The mood in here is great.
It does feel a bit cinematic as well.
Yeah.
And I think that is a nod again to the editing, as Dennis mentioned. And maybe that creepiness, I feel like the the storm elements are ghostly almost. We've
Yeah,
got
they
these
are.
wispy tendrils throughout
Mhm.
that updraft area, and the tornado is almost ghostly white in this dark background. So yeah, there are a lot of very good things working for the image maker here in this photograph.
I love that ghostly. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, all those white clouds look like it's like a ghost, like just wisping around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is really, really cool. Oh, I like this one, and the head's not cut off in the the or whatever.
Love this.
But
Love this shot.
yeah, I'm a sucker for well, in some of the wedding photography stuff I do, I feel like people would give me crap because I frame couples against like a hill with a sunset behind them, and it's just a pure silhouette. And people are like, why don't you put a flash on them to light them up? I'm like, I don't care. They get enough of those. They get enough of those shots, right? So these kind of shots always move me because there is something about telling a story with just a silhouette of a person.
Yes.
And this one, the guy has a camera. He's looking up at the storm. His hair looks like it's blowing in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
The door is open, like they just got out there. And the color in this, and you can see the storm above. Oh man, I really like this.
Yes, if we're talking about, we've had many images so far that has a person in front of a storm, and we get a lot of shots of the back of the person, and we miss so much about that. What is the person experiencing? And I feel like this image tells the story of the experience. You can see his expression. He looks breathless under the storm. So that is hugely impactful, but also the artfulness of the entire scene. Everything balances together. I feel like the car and the red in the tail light balances with the colors in the sky. So this is an excellent example. This image maker really took thought and applied an artfulness to this image that lends itself to a very positive and impactful final product here. Well done to this image maker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. And this one is one of the other ones that is more of obviously tornado damage, but I do think that this one tells a pretty like horrible kind of dark side of the story of what we do, and it's the hard part that I get asked a lot if you do interviews with anybody ever, where they're like, how do you balance chasing storms that are beautiful with the fact that sometimes a tornado comes down and people die and they're, and you're taking photos and it is a tough thing. And I don't always know how to answer it in the best way, but this photo really shows like the power of what can happen with tornadoes and storms. And you see this car upside down and just completely mangled. And meanwhile, there's a restaurant or something in the background that is also destroyed, and a lady in a blanket, like someone crouched on the ground in a blanket, it looks like, or a jacket, just staring, and it tells a lot.
I could see news outlets picking this photo up. So
yeah,
certainly.
Yeah. All right. Go to this one. Anybody have any thoughts about this one?
Well, we have another from the car shot here. Similar intention likely from the image maker, that we have a little bit of motion blur. It feels a little intense. We have a familiar McDonald's with maybe an unfamiliar big shelf cloud coming.
Yeah. No, I just like that too. I just think it's the story of someone's driving through this town, taking a picture. The motion blur kind of picks up that they're trying to stay ahead of maybe that shelf cloud coming through. And I think the key thing for these kind of images, which I don't do this very much because I'm usually always driving, but one time I had my friend Brett driving and I got to lean out and do like a photo of a shelf cloud like this. And I really, really liked it. I like getting the car in the shot and stuff like that. But the key is to get at least kind of the center part of it sharp and kind of not motion blur, because even though there's motion blur around it on the, the middle, like the McDonald's is what seems like they were focused on. And that kind of is the center of the image. And I think that's kind of key.
Yes.
But also I think the key which makes such images great is the motion blur itself too, because it adds the dynamic, the rushing in front of the storm, and there's something happening. It tells so much more to the story,
Right.
in my opinion. But you are right too, because at least the main part of the image, the storm, needs to be in focus.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I just wonder what the story we're trying to tell here. If the McDonald's sign is the focus, we're telling a story about the McDonald's. Is this, so I'd be curious to know why this this photographer, chose
Shot
this
it.
as the image. So
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's interesting. I do think that there's a cool juxtaposition of framing like a landmark or something that everybody knows in front of something that maybe people don't always see. So like everyone sees McDonald's arches, and then there's like, it's very familiar. Whereas if you just had a tree there in the shelf cloud, it doesn't have like the same kind of maybe double
contrast.
Contrast or something. So, and the color of it too is kind of interesting. I don't know. But no, it's a very good question. Maybe they were just snapping a bunch of photos, and this one was the one that kind of popped out. So
sure,
very interesting. This one is cool. This one is I don't know. Like it looks like a pretty freaky storm on the horizon, especially when you look at the clouds. Maybe on the left side, it looks really like kind of thick up in here, like it's beefy. And these people just look like they're kind of going about their day at the beach. Like these two people are just not even looking at the store. Just kind of interesting.
But I don't know if the stones on the right side adds much to the story. I think it would be more focus on the people who are on the beach or so, and the storm is rolling in. I think that needs to be the story here. And almost a third of the image is, it adds nothing really important to the story, in my opinion.
I think the only thing maybe that I liked about the right side was the splash of water, because maybe that helps show that maybe the waves are picking up or something with the storm coming in, but it could also just be like that all the time. So that's only, I think I just like that splash from that side, and I kind of get what you're saying. All right, we will go to the last one. Jen, what do you think about this one? Because I feel like, I don't know, this could be a position you've been in.
Why would you think that?
You chase more tornadoes than me.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, this definitely, chasing on the freeway is a whole thing. And it's interesting. We have so many black cars on the right and some white cars on the left. It's like the people going toward the dark tornado are going, and the people. It's an interesting. I like that it's black and white. It gives some curious thoughts about, I don't know, light and dark, and that's what's in my mind here.
Interesting.
So,
Dennis, what about you?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about the black cars driving towards the tornado, the white cars
interesting.
fleeing. Yeah, it's like a weird movie scene from Nolan or so. I don't know.
Yeah, it does look like that.
Yeah, so, but I'm wondering, one car is stopping on the shoulder, one car in the left lane is obviously braking, but the other cars are just still going, and I don't think they are all chasers.
No.
So that's, but
do you have...
I'm sorry?
Oh, I was interrupting again.
Go ahead, please.
I was going to ask Mike if he had any information on the settings here.
It was f4 1/500th 24 millimeter 250 ISO.
Great. I mean, this person is shooting out of their car, obviously. I don't know if this is I feel like the car, the black car closest to the camera, is the most in focus thing in the scene. So that's a little troubling.
That's true.
There's definitely been some over sharpening and things like that. And, we've talked about that in the photojournalistic moment. In a moment like this, it's super intense and you're getting the shot. And so we can't necessarily have all those technical elements dialed in, but it does impact your impact. So
it's kind of interesting because, sorry, this is just, related to a wedding because I shot one on Saturday, but I was shooting the wide view of the ceremony and I chose to focus on the back row of the people. instead of the bride and groom that were closer up front. I'm like, you know what? They're probably going to be a little soft, but to me, if it's blurry in the front, that's going to distract me more than if they're a little soft as the image descends, you know, or you just, so if I was here, I don't know if I would focus on that car or if I would focus on like the sign with over the freeway. So that's kind of interesting because I don't know. Like I'm like, if it was blurry in the front but focused on the sign, that also would look pretty good. And maybe the tornado being tack sharp would also be good. Yeah. So that's really interesting. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that. But I think it just, obviously it comes to storytelling. And I really liked, Jen, that you brought that up at the beginning about telling a story with these, because it is way more than like the other kind of images we go over. But I think it's just really telling, like Dennis said, like some of the cars seem to be moving, some are slowing down, some are pulled off to the side because they see a tornado. Some people might not even be paying attention, which happens. Yeah. Where they just go, oh, it's rain, it looks stormy, and they're driving towards it and they don't see it. As chaotic as the sky is, it's on the road. Yeah. Because some people are driving, some people are braking, some parking on the shoulder. So complete traffic chaos like the tornado itself. So yeah. I just think it's really interesting about when these scenes happen and you see videos of them, how a lot of people are just driving into them and not stopping and not being aware of maybe what's happening. And that's just, I used to be like, how can you not be aware? You know, and then now I'm like, I know that it's just sometimes, you know, people they haven't learned about it. They don't know about it. They don't know what to look for. We know what to look for. Well, all right. So that's our top 15 photojournalistic photos. I don't remember. I think it might be a top 6 for the finalists offhand. So stay tuned for that.